Hey, I guess you want to follow along on one of my workouts. I would love that. But I think there are some basic rules we need to establish and things we should go over first. So let's do that. Your safety is my #1 priority when making these workouts. So please, go see your physician if you have any underlying heart conditions before performing one of these workouts. To monitor your heart rate throughout the workout, if you have an Apple Watch or a wearable, that's preferable.
While we're on the note of safety, remember, I can't physically fix your form if I'm not with you in person. So I need you to replicate these movement patterns to the best of your ability with perfect form. You're going to also hear audible cues. So if you have headphones in loud environments, it's going to help you understand what you should and shouldn't be doing.
To get the most out of these workouts, simply set your phone or tablet up, follow along with the instructions and try to keep pace, and just work hard. Some workouts might use equipment where it's unsafe to watch the video while trying to perform the exercise at the same time. So for these, I advise watch the video, then rewind, set your phone up off to the side, and then perform the exercise while only listening to the audible cues. Use your own best judgment for this. Oof, that made things awkward.
And that's essentially it. Follow these workouts, work as hard as you possibly can, and on a week-to-week basis, make sure you're thinking of increasing one variable like weight or reps or tempo or something. The last thing I want to say is just a thank you. The fact that you're here with me today tells me that you're willing to dedicate energy and time to try to better yourself, and the fact that you're using me as a resource to do so really does mean a lot. So thank you with all my heart, and enjoy your workout. Today we're performing a full body workout that's focusing on the anterior side, or the front side of us. That's going to mean for upper body we're doing some pressing movement patterns, and for lower body we're going to be doing some knee flexion dominant movements. If you're someone that has chronic knee pain, you might want to spend a couple extra minutes warming up, making sure that you're ready to go for these positions. Today we're going to need a few pieces of equipment to be fully effective with what we're trying to do. We're going to need things such as a lacrosse ball, a foam roller, a set of rings, a resistance band that we can set up in a doorway, as well as yoga blocks. Without further ado, let's get working out. Before we get started with today's workout, I want us to do a little soft tissue work. It's going to help us promote some blood flow to some muscle groups that today we're going to try to activate and use. It's just going to also help us get into positions a little bit easier and be more effective with what we're doing, because now the tissue is not as tight and it can lengthen out a little bit better. So the first two things we're going to need is a lacrosse ball as well as a foam roller. Now, today we're working the anterior, the front side of our body. So what we're going to start by doing is loosening up some of that tissue. We're going to take our lacrosse ball and we're going to lay face down. I want you to take that lacrosse ball and put it right where your shoulder and pec meet each other. From now, I'm going to start a timer for 45 seconds. I take my one arm, I place it behind my back, and now I apply pressure leaning down onto the lacrosse ball. I've found a tender spot. First step. Now from here, I take my elbow and I think of pressing it down to the ground and then lifting it all the way up to the ceiling. Now this should be painful, that's the goal. We're searching for sensitive tissue that, again, we have to improve the fluid dynamics and try to make it healthier tissue. If we find a spot, we can make small circles. If it's super painful, you just take deep breaths. Again, probably the most important concept here is we're trying to relax on the ball. I know it's uncomfortable, but that's the goal. We want it to go into some of the deeper tissue and we don't want you tensing up on top of it. Again, a little bit of movement. We sit at our desks all day, we have bad posture, we sit in cars and planes, and the tissue on the front side of us gets really tight. Our shoulder and our pec, that was 45, let's switch. And it just pulls our shoulder blades and our upper back into a bad position. So this is why we're doing this. We're trying to loosen up this tissue because we're also going to be working it today. And I want us to be more effective when we're working out by, again, getting into positions a little bit better and being able to fire this tissue, because maybe we've lost some proprioception. Our brain doesn't know how to connect those neural pathways or talk to the musculature of how to fire correctly. So now we're kind of waking it up. Again, deep breaths, elbow to the ground. Maybe I make small circles. Again, we're working the anterior side, so we're going to be doing some upper body pressing work today. We're also going to be doing some lower body knee flexion movements like squatting and lunging. So if you're anyone that has chronic knee pain, right, your knees bother you, you get inflammation in the area, maybe it's not from injuring them, but maybe it's just from habits and lifestyle, you might want to spend a couple extra minutes. There's our 45 seconds. You might want to spend a couple extra minutes today doing your foam rolling on your quads, which we're going to do now. Or maybe you start doing a little bit more of the movement prep, you do an extra round. Whatever you need to do to feel safe and feel like you're going to be able to have an effective workout without your knees bothering you. So next we're gonna set a 45-second timer again, and we're gonna focus on rolling our quads. So I have the foam roller on my quad, and my opposite leg is not on there. I'm gonna use my forearms like a plank to push myself down until I get close to my hip flexor and groin, and then I pull myself up until I get almost to my knee. Now again, you're searching for tender tissue. If you find a spot, deep breaths, you can just do knee flexion and extension on that spot. You can rotate your leg open and do your adductors more toward your groin. You can rotate over, do more of your IT band, whatever you want to do, but again, just search for those spots that are really tender and then show some love there. A lot of people, the relationship of our quad and hamstring, the tightness of one is impeding or impacting our patella tendon, the tension on our knee. So again, if you loosen up some tight tissue and we strengthen the weak tissue, hopefully if you're someone that has sensitivity to that area, we'll be able to slowly help that and then strengthen the tissue around your knees. So again, you're in less pain and you now have more stability around the joint and the right musculature is working. Ooh, deep breaths again, this is pretty painful. To bulletproof your knees. Again, depending on how frequently you work out, you might have a lot of soreness in the area. Again, this is a great way of getting rid of some of that soreness. Same with today, when we do all these knee flexion dominant movements, we'll provide new blood into the area. Again, roll all the way up, getting close to your groin, rotate your torso. And that is 45 there. Next, let's work on a little bit of spine health. By that I mean, let's work on extension. Let's work on opening up our upper back. So what I want us to do is we're gonna put the foam roller right on our upper back, more toward our thoracic spine, okay, about this area. From here, I'm gonna set my timer again for 45 seconds. We're gonna do about 3 reps. My hands go on my head. I think of going into extension, arching my upper back over the foam roller. I take deep breaths while maintaining a posterior pelvic tilt. Okay, I'm thinking of pushing my lower back down to the ground and activating my core. Set that timer, hands on head, deep breath. Again, I don't lose that posterior tilt. If you're someone that is extremely tight or this is really uncomfortable, you've been in bad posture for a long period of time, this is gonna take a very long time to fix that. Maybe you put a yoga block back behind your head to give you at least a little bit of cushion or something that you can actually relax on, because this might be too intense. But the goal is just trying to conform your upper back over this. Let me do one more rep. I know that was 45. Deep breaths. Again, make sure you do not arch your lower back and just cheat and compensate. Next, we're gonna work on thoracic rotation. We're now gonna lay down on our side and we're gonna have one knee up at 90 degrees on top of the foam roller. Our opposite hand is locked out. We're gonna think of rotating and making a T and trying to pin our shoulder down to the ground while we're keeping this knee on top of the yoga block. Shoulders down, deep breath out. Return all the way back. We're just gonna do 3 of these guys. Again, deep breath, rotate. If you're someone that plays a rotational sport, this will pay off. Making sure that you're more powerful within your swing, you're using the right musculature when you do rotate, as well as lowering your risk of injury from rotating in the wrong portion of your spine, causing extra stress and wear and tear. Again, we're on our side, same concept, deep breath out, rotate, hold that leg down, make sure it doesn't come up off the foam roller. You might notice some asymmetries. Maybe life has us rotating one direction because we play a sport, or maybe you rotate to grab your seatbelt or something at work, at your desk. I mean, it's amazing how little habits of our daily life really impact the way we move. And that's why this self-discovery of movement is so important to put us through all these ranges of motion so we learn about, how we move. So that wraps it up for our soft tissue work. We're gonna move on now to some movement prep to activate and warm up the tissue we're gonna work today. So I'll see you there. Next up, we're gonna do some movement prep. We just wanna activate some of the tissue that we're gonna use today in our workout, as well as just put us into some similar positions that we'll be doing throughout the day. The first 2 things we're gonna need is a medium mini band, as well as a light resistance band, something rather thin. We're gonna start with this resistance band. I want us to work on side bend of our spine as well as overhead press in one movement. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold on to this resistance band about shoulder width apart, and we're gonna pull tension apart laterally. Once we start that, we're gonna take one leg, cross it in front of the other leg, side bend until our elbow touches our side if we can, and then with that pulled apart tension, press our arms overhead, lengthening the tissue of our lat, our QL, and then activating the musculature of our shoulder. I then switch legs, side bend, elbow into torso, press my arms. We're gonna do 10 per side. Again, it's really important if we've been sitting all day to take our spine and all of our joints through a very large range of motion. And I find this is a great way to do so. And at the same time, we're activating the tissue in our shoulders, which we're gonna be using today in our workout. 10 total. Deep breaths. Make sure you're really locking out those elbows when you press your arms overhead. That band, you're adequately pulling apart tension. Again, to get your shoulders involved, really side bend to the side. If you play golf, super applicable to when you make contact with the ball. Ooh. A lot of people end up doing those weight side plates. It's not one of my favorite exercises. I don't recommend it to a lot of people to work your obliques. But again, that's kind of what you're doing. When you do a side plank, you're resisting side bend. 2 more per side. Deep breaths. My shoulders are on fire. Last one. Okay, next. We're gonna take that mini band that we mentioned. We're gonna safely, again, if you need to use an object, safely step inside of it. It's gonna go right below our knees. Next, I'm gonna get a timer. I'm gonna set that timer for 45 seconds. And I'm gonna put my upper back against the wall. And what am I doing? I'm in a wall squat here. Today, we're gonna be working out the front side of our body. So I want us to warm up our quads, activate them, get some blood flow to the area. Again, work on kind of getting some blood flow to the area of our knees. And then this is gonna help us stabilize the joint. Hopefully no pain throughout the workout, and we can be effective in these movement patterns. With our hands, to work on our shoulder health, we're gonna take our hands, reach all the way up against the wall, and then come all the way back down. Our shoulder blades are retracted. We're in good positioning. My neck pushed against the wall. 2 for 1. We get to work on shoulder health, taking our shoulders through a big range of motion, and we get to warm up our quads. Deep breaths. Again, today, we're working out the whole front side of our body. That's 45. And that warm up was trying to get all that tissue ready to go. And we're finished, so let's get to the workout. I'll see you there in a second. Circuit number 1, we got 3 exercises in a row. When we finish all 3 of those, we get a short rest, and then we'll repeat this circuit 2 more times. The equipment we're gonna need here, a set of rings attached to our doorway or a TRX, as well as a medium-sized resistance band. The first movement pattern is a ring-assisted reverse lunge, something that's gonna help us do better form, more volume, and deeper reps. When we're done with that, we're gonna do a banded assisted push-up. We're gonna do a push-up with the rings and a band, and it's gonna help us do better reps, and again, we're gonna be able to get stronger so we don't need the band one day soon. Our third final thing is gonna be a dead bug, one of my favorite core exercises. So enough talking, let's get working out. Like I said before, first thing, ring-assisted reverse lunges. We're holding onto the rings, we're gonna do 12 reps per side. I wanna stand close enough that I can hold my arms bent, and when I go to the bottom of my reverse lunge, I can then use my arms to help pull myself up. You can also have your arms locked out in front of you, that'll help a little bit less. We're gonna do 12 reps per side. So let's get started. So I take a big step back. The larger the step I take back, the less of my quad and knee flexion I'll go through. So if you have a little pain when you do this and you need to make it easier, take step back so it's easier on your knee, larger step back. If you want to make it more quad dominant, you take short, shallow steps. But we want to make sure we have an upright torso. Our heel stays on the ground. We have a slight torso lean forward so we can make sure our front leg is doing majority of the work. And like I said, we're doing 12 reps. Use those rings for as much as you need. Again, if you're having knee pain, maybe you just do an isometric hold until we finish the one side. Now we switch. But we need to assess why you got that pain so we can try to fix it and get you to move better, again, with less pain. 12 reps, big steps, feeling it in my quad and my glutes. And again, these rings are gonna help you do better form, go deeper, and then one day we won't need them. If you don't need them and this is too easy, you can just do this body weight. You can hold the weight to your chest. But we all got to start somewhere, and these rings are a great way to help. Okay, all done. Number 2, I mentioned us doing that banded push-up. We're going to take a resistance band. I'm going to loop it through my rings, and then I loop it through the band itself. Now it looks like this. I'm then going to put myself in the band, okay? I have it around my waist. Now the band is going to assist me and pull me up. So I come on out into a push-up position, and I'm going to do 12 repetitions. Now, if I'm not strong enough and the band is not strong enough to assist me in a good rep, I can keep my knees down. Okay, but again, 12 repetitions. While we're doing our push-ups, what do we think of? We want to make sure we pinch our shoulder blades at the bottom, right? I'm not rounding forward. Retract down and back. And I lock out at the top. Full range of motion, chest to the ground, push all the way up. My elbows are tucked in by my side. They're not flaring out. Again, if you're at failure or the form isn't good, please go to your knees. If you need to walk further away to create more tension with the band, that's the beauty of this. This band is really going to assist you into good reps. Make sure you're not arching your lower back. Good posterior tilt. 11, 12. Again, if you don't need this, don't use it, but I really want everyone to be able to do perfect form of regressed versions of the things they're going to work up to. Third, final thing, we're going to do some dead bugs. So I'm going to lay face up. What I want us to do is think of a posterior pelvic tilt, meaning I'm pushing my lower back down against the ground, okay? My knees are up at 90, my hands are on my knees, okay? I want to alternate sides. I want to do opposite limbs. Left leg and right arm extend out. I maintain that posterior tilt of my belly down. I bring them back. I go on the other side. We're doing 12 reps per side. Again, that posterior tilt of our lower back, the pressure against the ground is so important. That's how you know if you're doing this right or wrong. You'll also know because you'll feel it in your lower back. So if you feel your lower back working, maybe we regress it. Maybe you just hold this position the entire time until I say we finish. Again, I want this to be challenging on your core. You also get to work on some shoulder mobility if you really reach your arm overhead. Deep breaths. Almost there. 3 more each side. Belly down. I feel my core working. If it's not hard enough, you can hold these positions for a longer duration of time. Increase time under tension. Last ones. And beautiful. There you have it, guys. First round all finished up. Let's take a short rest, and let's do that 2 more times. I'll see you at the next circuit. Next circuit, 3 more exercises, exact same concept as before. The equipment we're gonna need here is gonna be our rings or a TRX, as well as another thin resistance band, but this time we also need a yoga block. The first movement pattern we're gonna perform, air squats, but we're gonna use the rings. Again, it can assist us into getting into a deeper position, maybe help us do better form, or we can just do more volume. If you don't need the rings, don't use them. When we're done with that, we're gonna do a resistance band overhead press, strengthening our shoulders, and when we're finished with that, we are going to do a half Turkish get-up or a variation of a sit-up that's a lot more functional, and we're gonna use a yoga block for that. So let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do those assisted air squats. So if we don't need this, we don't need to use it, we can just keep our hands out in front of ourselves and do a squat. If you feel like you're gonna need to use the rings, again, our legs are a little tired from those lunges, we can step on out, keep the rings close to our body. We're gonna go into a good squat, and by good squat, I mean we're staying as upright as we can and pretty close to where our natural center of gravity would be. I don't want you leaning really far back just to get lower. This is not gonna help you in any way. It's not close to what your natural squat form would look like. Have your weight shifted forward. Use your arms to help pull yourself up. We're gonna start with 15 reps of this. We wanna do these somewhat slow and controlled, get into a good position, stand tall, squeeze your butt and belly. Deep breaths. Again, use the rings as much as you need. You can have your arms out in front of yourself to not use as much of them. Keep them close by to use more. We want a vertical torso angle. We want to think about pushing our hips open, externally rotating our feet to activate our glutes, making sure our knees don't collapse in. Keep going. I'll show you some from this way. Again, open up those hips. I do not want this. External rotation. 15 total. I wanted us to do those reverse lunges first, last rep, because then our legs got a little more tired for when we do our bilateral work. Okay, next, we're gonna grab that resistance band. We're gonna have this with the shoulder width apart grip, okay, pulling apart tension on the band. We're gonna do 15 repetitions. While pulling apart tension of this band, I'm gonna press my arms all the way overhead, making sure I maintain a neutral spine, bring it all the way down. Now, I wanna think of my hands are almost wider than my elbows. I don't want internal rotation, okay? So really focus on pulling that band apart. Nice and slow reps, don't rush these. Let me do some from the side, I find this more helpful. Vertical torso. Again, I finish with my arms right above my head. I try to keep my forearms vertical, they're not falling forward. I'm not arching and extending to try to get in this position. I'm able to get here naturally. If you can't get your arms vertically overhead like this in a comfortable position and you look more like this, you don't have this range of motion, that goes to show we might need to work on shoulder mobility a little bit more before we try to strengthen any of that tissue. There's no point in strengthening it if you can't get through this full range of motion without any tension. So we might need to do some more myofascial release, some stretching, almost there. Keep pulling that band apart. Last one. Good. Whew. Make sure you lock those elbows out. Okay, we're finished with that. Next, let's work on that quarter of a get-up or half Turkish get-up. So we're laying face up. Whatever leg is bent at 90 degrees, okay, I have my limbs out at about a 45-degree angle. Whatever leg is bent at 90 degrees, that arm is gonna hold the yoga block. The opposite hand, 45 degrees. What I want you to do, I want you to push through your elbow to start sitting up. I turn my torso, I push through my elbow, and then I lock out this hand, and I sit all the way upright, and my hand goes from being horizontal to vertical next to my ear. I come down to my elbow, I lay back down, and then I do the same thing. Elbow, extend the hand, sit all the way upright, nice neutral spine. We have 10 of these per side. Deep breaths. The concept here is helping us get stronger at going from the ground until standing, right? If you get older and we're laying on the ground, if you are older and you're laying on the ground, you gotta have the strength to be able to get up. You don't wanna have to rely on other people. So this is a way of us practicing without one limb, how would we stand up? And this is the beginning process of learning a Turkish get-up, which is a wonderful full body core exercise. 2 more. We get to work on shoulder stability. If this was a weight, we can work on shoulder stability, which we'll progress to one day. If you wanna use a weight, you can. I recommend most people learn this without a weight. Okay, opposite side. Again, rotate over, elbow, hand, sit all the way upright. If you're someone that has rather tight hamstrings, this might be rather challenging. You might feel like you're rounding a lot in this position. Maybe then you extend out your other leg. Do the best you can to maintain a neutral spine. Deep breaths. It's one of my favorite concepts with my family and people I love who are slowly getting a little older, is just having fun doing ground to stand patterns, laying on the ground, telling them, okay, you can't use this leg. You got to start in this position. And you just have people practice standing up. It's so important. That's a real functional way of how exercise is going to impact our life when we're older. And that's it. So there's 10 each side, guys. Another great circuit. Have a small rest. I'll see you for the next one. Third, final circuit, almost finished up. The equipment we're gonna need for this is gonna be a resistance band set up at about chest height in a doorway or on an object that's sturdy at home, as well as something that's about 4 to 8 inches high. I recommend a step. I'm using 2 yoga blocks here. If you have yoga blocks, you can use them. Just be extremely safe because they can roll your ankle. So again, use your own best judgment. First movement pattern we're gonna do is gonna be a step down. We're gonna focus on knee flexion forward, strengthening our quad and working on knee health. When we're finished with that, we're gonna do a banded single arm split stance press. Great way again to work horizontal pressing with no equipment almost at home. Third, final thing, we're doing a Pallof press with that band, working on anti-rotation and strengthening our core. So let's get started. So first movement pattern, I mentioned us doing a step down. Okay, a couple variations. Again, I'm standing on yoga blocks where the crease is in the center, and I am not worried about them flipping over or teetering. From here, I'm gonna go into a lot of knee flexion, bending my knee forward, right? My knee is gonna track over my toes a lot, right? I'm not pushing my butt back, knee forward. And then I'm gonna press through this leg to stand all the way back up. Good, we're gonna accentuate the way down and we're doing 12 repetitions. So again, slow, slow, work on stability and balance, touch, stand all the way up. This is a wonderful PT exercise for people recovering from knee injuries, but this is a great way to work on stabilizing the joint and strengthening all that connective tissue. 5, if you want to make it harder, you can bend the opposite leg, you can go a lot lower, however you want to challenge yourself. But again, we're just trying to work our way up to harder movement patterns, and this is a great starting point, strengthening all this tissue in the front of your leg. Get to work on ankle stability. Again, make sure that knee is tracking over your toes, it's not collapsing in. You're firing that glute by externally rotating your foot. The yoga blocks have a little cushion, so it's challenging my balance and stability a little more, and 12, good. Let me show you a couple from a different angle. Turn these for safety, okay. Reach the other leg out in front, tap, stand tall. Again, how low do you want to go? How challenging do you want to make it? 3, deep breaths. Again, make sure that knee is going forward and you're not pushing your butt back as you do all this. Do you notice any asymmetries? Do you have less balance and stability on one side? Maybe that'll go to show there's something going on in your hips and you're not firing your glute correctly. If your knee keeps collapsing in. Tough stuff. Again, we're trying to find a variety of exercises we can do with very little equipment. And this is a great one. Okay, step down's done. Next up, we're gonna do that banded press, which I mentioned. So I have a band over in the doorway over here I'm gonna grab. Okay, it's set up at about chest height. I wanna get into a split stance position, okay? One foot in front of the other. Okay, my back foot is elevated, the heel is elevated. From here, I take the shoulder blade, I retract it down and back. Nice tight belly, upright. I'm gonna press this arm all the way out, slowly return it all the way back down. I get to work on lower body stability. I get to work on the pressing strength of my pec and my shoulder. My forearm is nice and parallel to the ground, right? I'm not pressing down, I'm not pressing up. Pressing this way. My belly's tight, I'm resisting the urge of any rotation at all. Again, at the back position, retracted shoulder blade. We're gonna get our 12 done. Nice slow tempo on the way back, absorb. If you need to walk further out to make it more challenging or use a thicker band, be my guest, that's 12. Safely switch sides here. Okay, again, slight knee bend. press, explode, retracted shoulder blade. Make a fist with the other hand. Again, we're getting creative with not much equipment. Keeping a heart rate up, burning calories, working on heart health. Make sure when you do these presses, our elbow doesn't get too high and our wrist is palm to the floor. We want neutral positioning, elbow in by our side. Almost there. And then we're going to keep this band once we finish here. Last one. Beautiful. Okay, next, we're going to hold on to this band. We're going to do a Pallof press. So I'm locking out my legs, getting into a nice wide position here. From here, I'm going to slowly press my hands away from my chest, locking out my arms. The band is pulling me laterally. I want to rotate, but I got to resist that band from pulling me. So I got to use my obliques and my core. We're going to do 10 reps per side. I take deep breaths. I keep good positioning. Again, my shoulder blades are pressed down. I'm not elevating one. I lock my elbows out. I don't have a bend in my elbow. Everything is symmetrical. The point where you lock your arms out at the end is where there's the most tension. You can hold that for a split second before you bring it back. Make sure slow time under tension is very important here for this to be effective. Last one. Good. All right. This side, nice wide base of support. Press my arms out slow, resist rotating. Again, if you need to make it harder, walk further away. Same goes for easier, maybe use a thicker band. We practice rotating a lot, but we don't practice resisting rotation in the gym much. So I think this is a wonderful way to work on your obliques. This will make you a better athlete for rotational sports. Work on spinal stability. Almost there. Deep breaths, staying calm, and ooh, beautiful. Woo, and there you have it, guys. We got just 2 more rounds of this circuit, then you're finished up. I'll see you at the finish line. Keep working hard. See you soon. That's for working hard and finishing your anterior workout. Today you worked on things like strengthening the tissue around your knee. It's going to make you more resilient, make you more stable as you're walking and you get older. You worked on strength of your upper body and pressing patterns, which if you're on the ground, it's going to help you push yourself back up to be able to get into a standing position as you get older. And you're just going to look better at the end of the day. But for that, we're going to need consistency, and you're going to need good nutrition, and you're going to have to keep working hard. So the job's not done. Keep working hard. Nutrition, hydration, do what you got to do to take care of your body, because your future self will thank you. I thank you for being here today and using me as a mentor. I'll see you at the next one. Take care.